Now, what landed you into prison exactly?
When I was younger, my move was to go out of town and try to hustle because everything was worth double or triple there. So that's what I did. I hid it out of town and I got caught up.
And what was the charge exactly?
Possession with intent to deliver.
Care to share what drug?
Crack cocaine.
Crack cocaine.
Yeah.
And crack cocaine can come with a lot of time, as I understand.
Definitely, yeah.
How much time did you do exactly?
60 months, which is 5 years federal time.
Now, when you get that amount of time, is that something you took a plea deal to get that, or did you fight it in trial and that's what you...
No, it was actually a plea deal.
Okay. What were you facing if you took it to trial and fought it?
30.
30 years?
Yeah, the first plea was actually 10 years. And I was about to take that. My father told me to take 10 years. And my lady at the time, she played with me like not to take the 10 or, let's go to trial. And last minute, I ended up taking the plea for 60 months.
So how did it get reduced from 10 years to 5?
What it is, they always want like a guaranteed conviction.
Oh.
So they'll plea with you, just to get the conviction.
Oh, okay.
They'll start high, they kind of scare you, and then they'll bring it down so you'll feel like, all right, well, that's better than what they offered the first time. And, you go with that.
So while you were waiting for this plea deal, how much time did you have to do in county jail?
I actually did about a month, and then I bonded out.
Okay. Got you. And got an attorney and that sort of thing?
Yep.
And what did your attorney tell you? Hey, take the plea deal too, or did he try to get you to fight it?
My attorney pretty much told me I was fucked, and he told me that they were, I was a teenager. So he pretty much told me that they were fucking me over because I was from Chicago. And, I was in a small town doing what I was doing, so they was pretty much trying to fuck me over. And he told me to take it. That was the best he could do.
Was this your first dealt with the law, or have you had other charges as a teenager before?
I dealt with them, but that was my first charge that would actually send me to prison.
Do you think because of your charges in the past, this was also given to you this way? Or, like, if you had a clean slate, do you think it would have been this bad, or it didn't
I think it would have been the same. I think it was strictly based off me being from Chicago and being in a small town. Like, they knew that.
Now, looking back, hindsight 2020, do you think you made the best decision by taking that plea? Or do you wish you would have fought it in trial?
No, I think I made the best decision. Really, I think going to prison was good for me because I was moving up so fast, like hustling. I think if I didn't go to prison at that point, I think they probably would have caught me 2 or 3 years later, and it would have been over for me because I would have had way more. I was moving up so fast. So really, I think that prison was the best thing for me.
I've heard some people say prison was the best thing for themselves, and then I've heard other people say the opposite.
It's about...
it's a crazy way for you to sit here and say it was a good thing for you.
Yeah, because it could have turned out a lot worse. I guess it just depends on the person. But for me personally, it was the best thing because so much other shit could have happened in that time span. In that 5 years I was gone, a lot of other shit could have happened.
Now, where were you sent to? What type of prison? Maybe the name of the prison, if you don't mind sharing?
I was sent to a federal prison. The first prison was Duluth Federal Camp, which was like going to college pretty much. It was no gates, anything. And 5 years is a long time, especially when you're a teenager. So my head was fucked up, so I was acting out. And they kept raising my level because I was fucking up. I was having problems with guards, other inmates. I just felt like 5 years was forever. So, I just had problems going through the whole thing. And they kept raising my level. And by the time I got to like a high level.
Level 5? Is that max? Did you have to do the...
I did max. They have a thing called diesel therapy where they move you around for a while. I don't think they do it anymore. But when you just such a fuck up, they make it's illegal for the feds to not let you have a hot meal, to not let you use the phone or get mail. So their way around that is to make sure you're on the bus. If you're on the bus, it's a security risk to let you use the phone
Sure.
or let you get mail. and it's nearly impossible for you to get a hot meal because during the hot meal hours, you're on the bus.
Right.
So that's their way of fucking you over. So that's what happened.
It's a loophole.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, the first night in prison, what was that like for you? Do you remember it?
I do. It was raining hard as hell. It was a storm. And my cellie, he didn't tell me that night, but he told me like maybe a couple weeks later when we got cool that that he had his locker with him because I made him uncomfortable. I couldn't sleep the first night. So I was walking back and forth. They give you these boots, these thick ass boots, and they loud as hell on the floor. So I was walking back and forth most of the night. And he eventually told me I made him uncomfortable. And he thought that I wanted a problem. He had a lock waiting for me just in case.
Like in a sock or something type of thing?
No, he had it like wrapped on his belt, holding it in his hand.
Oh, I see. Now, how did you pass the time, 5 years? How did you pass it?
Well, I learned how to rap. Well, I knew how to rap, but I realized I was good at it. So that was what I did the majority of the time. I worked out, I read books, I wrote letters. You know, I made plans for when I got out.
And how old were you too? You said you were young when all this happened. I forgot to ask you that earlier. How old were you when you went in?
I was 17 when I caught my charge.
And they treated you as an adult?
Yeah, but you can't go on the federal compound until you're 18. So they waited until my 18th birthday. I was sentenced on my 18th birthday.
Now, when it comes to rapping, did you use any of those lyrics after you were released, or did you scrap them?
No, I used my very first song, was a song called I Done That. And that was a song that I wrote while I was in prison. And that was the song that kind of let me know I was on to something. I wrote the song and I used to rap it in my cell. And my cellie told me, he was like, man, that shit dope. And he started telling everybody about it. And he had kind of put me on the spot. Like we'd go to the mess hall and he'd put me on the spot, try to get me to rap.
Did you battle rappers or battle other people with your raps?
No, I didn't battle. I wasn't much of a battle rapper, but I didn't mind spitting, you know, a 16 or something that I had written. I wasn't much of a freestyler either. But if I had something written, I wasn't too shy to spit it.
Mm. Somebody watching this, their first time going to prison, any do's or don'ts, first time going to prison for somebody, what would you tell them?
I would say mind your business, focus on you. Don't get caught up in all the bullshit that's going on because it's easy to, you know, to get caught up in somebody else's shit. Just mind your business and do what you do. Focus on your time. And the main thing, I saw a lot of guys in prison, like getting put on medication, stressing out so hard over what was going on in the street, they old lady, that sort of shit. Like, get that out your mind. You can't control what's going on, so get that out your mind. I think that's the most important thing.
Can one survive prison without joining a gang?
Yeah, of course you can. It ain't like how you see on the movies and shit like that. You definitely can. But again, stay in your lane. Avoid, I seen a lot of people do it though, but avoid all the bullshit though, stay in your lane.
Did you fight in prison?
I did.
Why so many fights?
I just couldn't deal with it. It felt like the end for me, so I was taking that out on other people, on inmates, the staff.
You seem so calm, collected here. I just can't imagine you really getting down and dirty with it.
I had my moments, but I'm older now. You know, I grew up.
Now, when you were fighting, were you defending yourself or were you the aggressor?
The aggressor. Like I started shit. My nickname in there was Trub. It was short for trouble. So I just started shit. Like I have a bad day, I miss home, and I take that out on whoever was around. You
weren't afraid about maxing out your sentence or catching maybe an additional charge because of fighting?
I actually did. I caught a battery charge.
Wow.
Yeah. I wasn't worried about it at the time, but it happened though.
And that prolonged your stay?
Yep. I got an extra 10 years for that. So I did 2 extra years, and then I had 8 years on parole when I got out, which is crazy as hell. It never happens, but yeah.
Wow. So you could have been out in 3 years.
No. It was additional after the 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was additional after that.
I see. Now explain for somebody that doesn't really understand that.
What, as far as the charge?
Time, yeah, the time on top of the 5.
Okay, well, I had the 5 already. I was fucking up, so I had no good time on that. So now a partner of mine, Free Jewtown, he was on the same charge with me. And what they was trying to do was give him the same time that they gave me. He hit me up, he sent me a kite, and he told me, like, man, they trying to hit me with the same charge they gave you. Will you come to court for me and say it was yours? Which it was, man. And my time was almost over. So, like, why would I let him go to prison for the time I already did? It didn't make sense to me. So I went back to the county jail to go to court for him. And I think when the DA found out I was coming to court, they just threw his charge out. So I'm in the county jail for no reason, waiting to go back. I believe I was in Sandstone at that time. That's a federal prison in Minnesota. Yeah, that's where I was, Sandstone. So long story short, I get into it with another inmate there over the TV. And we got into a fight. I fucked him up kind of bad, and I caught a charge. They changed the law while I was away in prison, and I didn't know it. Before you fight an inmate, you know, you go to the hole.
Yeah.
But when I came back, you fight an inmate, you get a charge and go to the hole. So that's what happened. I got a charge.
I didn't know that either. I thought it was like a whole situation too. I didn't know people got charges.
Yeah, they definitely
So
do
different prisons can be different laws, different rules.
Yep, different states, yeah.
So you didn't have to really do those extra 2 years. You were just charged them.
No, I actually did them. They ran, well, no, it was actually 1 extra year. They ran it with the 5 years I was already doing, and then they did the rest on parole.
Oh, okay, so they tacked it onto your parole, not your actual. I see. Okay. Were you afraid that you were going to have to actually do more prison time instead of the parole tab?
I was, yep, because I was so close to getting out. And I really didn't know. I didn't understand it because I was young then. So I didn't understand exactly what was going on. I just knew I had a new charge.
Could they have added it as real prison time instead of the parole?
They could have, yeah.
What do you think stopped them from doing that? An attorney or something helped curb
No, because I didn't have a paid attorney at the time. For that, I think that they looked at it like, well, it would fuck me over more to give me that much parole time because it's more likely I would come back, you know. So that's what they did. They just gave me all the parole time and figured I would go back.
So they think they would get you anyways back. So instead of having him do real time, let's just get him to maybe
let's let
fall
him
into
out.
the trap.
Yep, and then he'll come right back.
Back into the system, yeah.
Yep.
Now, those fights, could they have been avoided? Or were some of those fights unavoidable?
No, I think definitely they could have all been avoided.
All of them?
Yeah. If I knew then what I know now and felt the way that I feel now, all of them could have been avoided.
How much time did you have to do in solitary confinement throughout your 5 years?
I did about 3 years, no bullshit, like no exaggeration. I'm pretty sure I did about 3 years because I was doing like 6 months, 9 months at a time, you know.
What's the hole like?
Okay, now it depends on the person. If you're a weak-minded person, the hole will make you fall apart. But me, I kind of enjoyed it because the prison I was in, it was like the barracks. So you're in one big room with a lot of bunk beds. You don't have time to yourself. So I kind of enjoyed being in the hole. They put me in the hole 6 months. I get a chance to read books. I get a chance to think. I wrote raps in there. I did push-ups. You know, I could just be by myself and think. I never ran with the crowd ever in my life. Still to this day, I don't. So I kind of enjoyed it.
So solitary confinement was better for you than general population?
It definitely was at times. Now, sometimes it was bullshit, and I just wished I was out and able to talk shit with some of the guys that I did deal with. But yeah, when I went, I didn't fall apart. I didn't mind it.
Does time go slower in solitary versus general population, or is it the same?
It feels like it goes slower in general population. But crazy thing is, in prison, it seems like the time goes faster than it does on the street. Because like you have a routine. You do the exact same thing every day. Like in a 6-month span on the street, you'll do so much shit. You would deal with so many different females. You might drink, or if that's what you're into, or whatever it is, you might go to so many different places. It just seems like a lot of time that went past because you've done so much. But in jail, you do the same thing every day. You eat at the same time every day. You work out at the same time. If you go to school, you do that. So it really flies by.
Really? I would think it would be the opposite.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, but it really isn't that way.
Craziest thing you've seen while you were locked up?
I had one of my partners, E. He was a funny nigga. Like, all he did was start bullshit. He never got in bullshit, but he'd start bullshit with other people. He would steal dudes, like the other inmates, he'd steal their address, like their old lady address, and he'd write a letter, but as somebody else. So the guy found out and go and fight the other dude thinking that he writing his wife or some shit like that. So he did that type of shit. He would write letters to the guards, like funny, fucked up letters to him. So I think that was like the funniest thing or the craziest thing that ever happened.
Do people get raped in prison?
I never saw that. I think if anybody doing gay shit or getting fucked in prison, they with that. I never saw anybody forcefully, getting hit or no shit like that.
I've done a lot of prison interviews. Some people tell me some of that still goes on depending on the prison. But more often than not, people will say it's a volunteered thing. If you want it, you can find it. It doesn't have to, there's gay people in there, trans people in there. If you wanted that type of action, you could get it.
Yeah, I never seen anybody be forced, but if you're looking, it's definitely there.
Have you ever seen that show on MSNBC called Lockup?
I have, yep.
Is that an accurate depiction of prison life?
Depending on what prison you're in, it can be, yeah.
Now, what kept you motivated 5 years?
My daughter. I had a daughter like right before I went in. So after a while, that became my motivation, just getting back home and being a father.
Was the first time you seen her before you actually went to prison, or was it in prison when you first laid eyes on her?
It was before I went to prison.
Okay. Now, what about visitation with your family? Were you the type of inmate that wanted that, or were you the type of inmate that kind of brushed it off and didn't want to see anybody until you got out?
No, it made my day, having those visits. I think the visits got me through. In federal prisons, depending on which one you're in, the visits are all day. It's like 8-hour visits.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it felt like I wasn't in jail, like for those times, like my daughter and her mother would come for like a week at a time and visit me every day.
Oh, wow.
So it just felt, sometimes it felt like I wasn't in prison.
How far were they away from you?
Shit, like 7-8 hours. They were in Wisconsin. I was in Minnesota. So yeah, they were a ways away.
Now, 5 years to some people might be a long time. To other people that have done some serious time, that's not anything to them. But, El Chapo escaped prison twice. Did you ever have thoughts on breaking out?
Definitely. I didn't think it was a way. Just how it was set up, I didn't think it was a way. But the one time that it was possible, I was so short, I didn't think it was a need. I was in Duluth camp.
Ah, I see.
And so I actually left. And that was the first time I raised my security level. I left the prison. I had a chick that used to come see me, and I just wanted to leave and hang out with her. And so I did that. Me and one of my partners, we left and hung out. And some hating motherfucker told, and we come back, they had the whole prison locked down, and they was doing the head count, and we got there, they caught us and shipped us to another prison.
Was it worth it?
Yep. Yeah. For me it was. My guy, he was so nervous his dick didn't work, so he couldn't even fuck his girl. So I don't think it was worth it for him. but it was worth it for me though.